Hi guys, it's Rachelle from Monnow Furniture again. I'm here to do another furniture flip. Today we're going to be working on this console table. I've already sanded back the top and I'll talk to you about that in a second. Okay, here she is. Beautiful little console table. I'm not sure of her age. She's not particularly modern because the screws that were holding the drawer pulls in were flathead. Initially I thought that they may be just tacks, which is often the case with pieces like this, but thankfully they were screws, so that makes life a lot easier if you can take them out and put them back into the same holes without it running loose. So what I'll do is I'll probably spray paint these. I'm not sure what colour, but I won't keep them as they are. It feels like the back is a different material to the front. Yeah, so cleaning them up, I'm not going to get a consistent colour, so I'll probably spray paint them. Now the colour I'm going to go with, yeah, you following me, Bailey? As you know, I always buy Aussie brand paints, but I've still got some others left over from Dixie, Belle and some Fusion. So today I'm going to go with the Silk all-in-one mineral paint, which is Dixie Belle. The reason I'm giving this a go is that I saw that someone had commented the other day that this was very similar to Fusion Ash, which is pretty much impossible to get hold of now. And I wasn't, because it's called Black Sands, I wasn't sure if it was a black. Oh, Bailey, please don't lie down in that right now, it's not hot enough. I wasn't sure if it was a black or a charcoal, so if it's similar to ash, then it's a dark charcoal, so I'm going to give that a go. Now initially my plan was to sand off the top to keep the edges painted, because I think it gives it quite an elegant look on a dainty piece like this. But there's lots of nail holes that have been filled, or tack holes that have been filled, so I don't think I'm going to get a particularly good look if I was to stain it. So I'm going to paint it all, and then I'll do a top coat on the top. What I may do, because what I found with the ash, I'm not sure about this one because I haven't used it, is that the top coat isn't so great in it. So if I find that to be the case with this, then I'll just mix in some top coat into the last coat. So what I need to do now is scuff sand it all over and clean. These have just got little lifted bits here, but where the screws have gone in, but I don't need to fill them because I'm using the same drawer pulls. I'll just sand it so it's flat and tidy again. Scuff sand all over and paint. So this should be quite a quick job. Famous last words. Let's see. Right, I don't have any rolls of sandpaper that I usually use for scuff sanding, so I'm just going to use a 100 grit pad, and I'm just going, literally this is just to scuff it up to give the surface something for the paint to adhere to. So it literally just needs to be as quick as this. Some people say, oh, I can't be bothered to sand it to prep because it's so time consuming. It really isn't. It is literally just a really quick scuff sand. It's getting warm here. What's it like with you? 1 minute it's hot here, next minute it's freezing. raining. I literally have my Uggs. I literally had my Uggs and a jacket on just now. And now I reckon I can get my bikini out. Not really, but you know. Yep, so that just came off the wheels. Same old, same old. Yeah, so don't be too fussy about it, just get in there. Create some tea for that paint, that's all you're doing. I'm not getting rid of any imperfections, it's an old piece of furniture. I'm not trying to pretend that it's anything but that. I'm just refurbishing it. I don't generally try to hide all the dints because I don't mind it showing the character. Generally, well, in my opinion, if someone wants something to be really pristine, then they'll go and buy something brand new. Some laminate piece. I don't go in for that. That sort of look. So I'm not going to worry about sanding this to smooth on top either. Like I said, I usually go in with a 240. I'm not going to worry about doing that. It's smooth enough to paint on. Ordinarily, if I'd have known that it wasn't going to be a great finish on the top, I wouldn't have sanded it. Not back to raw anyway. I would have just step sanded all of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is give it a clean with, well, I'll blow it off and then I'll give it a clean with white lightning, so I'll come back and do that with you now. Okay, white lightning. I've changed my white lightning bottle to one of these misters now too. I got the cheap spray bottles from Bunnings and they were just rubbish, so I just find these. I don't know if you've ever used these. I use these for when I'm painting, to water down paint. You just hold it and it just continues to spray rather than having to pump it. And it's just really nice. So this is a mixture in this one of white lightning. So I'm going to give this a quick once over, then I'll wait for it to dry. And then I'm going to flip this over with anything that's got these dainty turned legs. I find it's best to flip it over and paint it upside down first, because you just miss grooves otherwise. So I just prefer to do that. It's another step, and given that I'm a lazy painter, I'd rather not have to do it, but I think it's necessary. So, you know, you want to get the best possible finish. So that's what I do. It's going to be a lovely piece, this. What's the weather been like for you guys this Christmas? Hasn't felt like Christmas here. We haven't had, I mean, not only because of lockdowns and things like that, but the weather hasn't been very Christmas-like. Been very, very wet and cold and hot, and then cold and hot. Bailey, who are you shouting at? Graham, my husband, is here at the minute. He's just put some drawer pulls on bedsides for me. He likes to do that because he says I'm not fussy enough. So he just checks all my work and makes sure it's right. I don't mind. So it's important that you let the white lightning dry properly. You don't want to be painting on top of this. Some people actually give it a wipe over afterwards with plain water, just to make sure there isn't any residue. I don't, and I've never had an issue with it, but I'm not going to tell you not to do that. I'm just telling you what I do. Always best just follow whatever is on the bottom. Because this is quite a small piece, I will, and there's not much of a back, I will paint this back. But ordinarily I wouldn't. I don't do the backs of pieces or in drawers unless they really need it. And if I find the drawers do need something, then I generally line them rather than paint them. Okay, whilst that's drying, I'll flip it over and then get started. Okay, let's go. So like I said, it is Silk all-in-one mineral paint, black sands, which is apparently not black. It is a charcoal, we will see. And it's by Dixie Belle. So with these, you just shake it well. Not so much about the stirring with these ones, just give it a good shake. Okay, the top. Oh, it's got a bit of a film on. There, I'll just take it off. Put it on that lid, and we could. And yeah, that's definitely a charcoal. And I'm using my Klingon 035. Right. So no need to prime. Scuff sanded, cleaned, and now we're good to go. Coverage looks good, so I would anticipate, yeah, this actually looks exactly like Fusion Ash, which if you've tried to, you will know that it's I'm going to say impossible, virtually impossible to get hold of at the moment. So this is good. I can't tell what the top coat is going to be like yet, but I would say that it's only going to be 2 coats, which is good because I'm feeling pretty lazy today. Probably more lazy than any other day. So yeah, that's good. So I'll do this side, all around the legs. I'll do the 2 coats with it facing this way, and then I'll flip it over, and then I'll finish off the areas that I missed, which there definitely will be. There'll be areas within these grooves that you can't see that you're missing when it's this way up, but you will see when you flip it over. And likewise, if you were to just do it standing upright, you would miss pieces and not realize it until you load it in the car for your customer and then see that there's heaps missing. So I just think this is the safest option, just to do this. Yeah, this is nice, and the coverage is really good. I don't know that many people have tried Dixie Belle Silk yet. I've done a few pieces. I tend to use, as you know now, the Aussie brands instead of this, but I've got it instead of the Fusion or Dixie Belle, but I've got it in the cupboard and I don't do waste, so let's give it a go. And I'm also not going to turn away good paints if they do the job well, which this seems to be doing, so that's good. How many of you have actually tried Dixie Belle Silk? I was talking to Di at, I'm going to pronounce this wrong maybe, Capriole, C-A-P-R-I-O-L-E, Shabby Chic, last night, and she was saying that she's got lots of this, lots of the Dixie Belle Silk in stock. I think they probably stocked up right when it was first released, which was handy because obviously supply has been an issue since then for a lot of paints, so if you're looking to get this, I would head in that direction. They've got so many products there as well, and they're also now stocking Purico paint, which is the Aussie brand, which I'm really pleased to see that. Their paints are beautiful. So yeah, highly recommend heading over there. I think they have a flat shipping rate of $9.95 on any order. And what I've noticed is that it's not just furniture paint that they stock there. They have a huge supply of any artist's supplies. So if you're into your craft as well as your furniture painting, then I definitely recommend heading over there and registering. I think they have a newsletter, so maybe register and get any special offers as they have them. Yeah, I'm happy with this one. As I couldn't get ash, I've actually just been sort of making up my own similar colour, which has gone well. And I kind of feel that I'm not spending money if I'm just using paint that is in my leftovers. Obviously that's not true, but it sort of feels that way. I don't know if you noticed that I'm putting very little on the paintbrush, literally just dipping the very tip in. You really don't need much. Don't load your paintbrush up. If you load up your brush, you're going to end up with drips, and you're going to be trying to fix it up later. So just, you really don't need much paint. And that's true with any paint, any furniture painting. You don't need to load your brush up. You'll learn very quickly how much you need. I think initially I was putting too much on, and probably maybe then too less, because what I found with Fusion is because it hasn't got that greater work time, that I wasn't putting much on, because I was worried that if I went over it, if I reworked it, which I would have to if I had a lot on the brush, then I would create texture. I'm not finding that with this at all, actually. So, and it's a hot day, so I would expect the work time to be reduced, but it's not drying too fast, which is good. I mean, you don't want it to take ages to dry, but yeah, you don't want it to dry within seconds, because you just seem to be fixing up texture issues all the time. So this, I'm doing this lip here simply because I've got it upside down. I can, and it will be tidy, and I'll feel good that it's done. This is the part that will need to be done. This is the bottom of the drawer, and obviously I can't see it when it's at this stage, at this orientation. So when I flip it over, I'll do that side. But at the moment I'm going to concentrate on what I can see, and I won't do inside underneath, because that would just be silly. But I will do all of the frame. And this is definitely just going to be 2 coats, so this will be a really quick job. I might end up keeping it myself, but I do like this colour, and I was going to say that I need a console table. I don't need a console table. I've got one that I've painted already. Maybe what I'm saying is I need a different one. That's probably closer to the truth. So I hope you don't mind me talking my way through this rather than adding music, but I quite enjoy chatting as I'm doing it. I feel like I'm not doing it on my own. A little bit crazy maybe, but whatever. I've been called worse than crazy. I felt quite flat this Christmas. I think it's probably true of a lot of people, not just with the lockdowns. I don't know, it's just My mum in the UK is being really flat because you know, they're in Wales and they're in full lockdown, and she lives on her own, so that's really bothered me. That I can't normally, if she was struggling with anything, I'd sort of get on the plane, and if I could, or just do something, send her something. But even sending her something hasn't worked because a Christmas present, as I said before, didn't arrive, and I just feel like I can't really do much, so I'm feeling a little bit flat this Christmas. I guess all we can do is hope that next Christmas is a better one and we all get to see our family and loved ones. I'm going to book a holiday next year, I think, if we can. Get on a plane and just try and relax. Something that I really struggle with. Really struggle with. Any of you that have anxiety will know that, will understand that. Anxiety and relaxation does not go hand in hand. It should, because the one helps the other. But yeah, it's almost impossible to relax, especially when your brain just doesn't switch off when you run your own business. So I run this as a business now, furniture painting, but I'm also a web developer and a virtual assistant, so my brain is just on the go constantly, and all of those businesses are run from home. All the elements of my business are run from home, so I don't have the interaction with office colleagues, which I really miss, because I really like having a laugh like that. So I don't know where I was going with that conversation. See, I just ramble. You're my colleagues today. I just ramble. Yeah, this is virtually identical to Fusion Ash, I think. And I am using very little paint. I'll show you in a second, once I've finished this first coat, how much paint I've used. Now, as it's drying, I can see that the finish does look quite flat. So what I might do is decant a bit of this paint in the next coat, which will be the final coat, and then I'll add some top coat, just some clear top coat. Any top coat would do. I'll probably use Carts and Millie satin top coat. I think it's called satin clear coat anyway, because it's nice and milky. It mixes in really well with other paints, and it just gives it a really nice finish. So I'll decant some of this paint into a pot, add some of the Carts and Millie, and then it'll give me the finish that I'm wanting. I know that some people like a really flat finish. I just don't. I want it to be easily washed. When I hand over a piece to a customer, I want them to feel confident that they can look after it well themselves. It's another reason why I personally don't like waxing pieces of furniture that I'm selling, because I know that, I believe it's something like 12 months that ideally you would give it another coat of wax just to keep that protection there. And when I'm selling pieces to a customer that I'm possibly not going to see again, or aren't a returning customer, then I just don't feel right that in sort of 12 months time they may have to, not always, but they may have to give it another coat. So that's just my personal preference. That being said, I've seen some amazing pieces that have been waxed, and I kind of envy the work that they do, because they're just beautiful. But yeah, that's just not what I do. I'm going to have a go at stenciling and transfers soon, and I'll do a video on that. I've got some in stock now, and I've got some in my shed now, and I've ordered some from Capriole. I'm going to have to ask how that is pronounced. Capriole. Capriole. If you know, tell me. Send me a voice message or something to tell me. Anyway, I've ordered some from there, some Aussie brand. I think they're called Gemini Creative. I hadn't heard of them until I went onto their website, so I've ordered some of those. I've also got some unique options. Paint come in, they're furniture paint, not their mineral paint. So I'll give that a go. The furniture paint. Now that doesn't have a built-in top coat, I believe, but I'll check. Look, can you see over here? I totally missed all this. Did I even do that leg? This is the thing with turned legs. I don't know why that happens. Maybe it's just me. I always miss entire strips of the leg. It's probably just me. Yeah, so I'm going to give, I've got some redesigned by, is it redesigned by, excuse my dog's going nuts. I guess someone has just come to the door. They're pretending to be scary. You all know there's nothing scary about them. The poor postie doesn't know that though. Craps himself every time he comes to the door. Funny really. Yeah, so I've got some redesigned by Prima. I've also got some stencils. Barley corn, is it barley? Anyway, I really love their logo. That's literally the reason that I bought the stencils, because I love the brand logo. So I've got those to try too. So quite a few videos coming up. I'm sort of officially off work until I think the 11th of January. So that should give me plenty of time to get a lot of videos in. If you've got any particular requests that you'd like me to run with, just message me or comment on the video. Commenting on the video is probably best, because I tend to miss a lot of messages that come through from Facebook. Instagram not so bad, but Facebook notifications are really hit and miss. So best to comment on the video. I get double up video notifications from YouTube. One from YouTube Studio and one direct from YouTube, so I don't miss any of those. Right. Have I done? Right, let's do that top of that. So when I flip it over, I'll be able to see all the pieces that I've missed better. Is it flat? Do you know what? It's not flat. It's not so flat. No, I'm not going to mix anything in with that. I'm happy with that actually. Yeah, I'm leaving it. That just made my day. So I'm just going to carry on going around with the next coat. I can see over here that I've got some drip soap, so I'm going to grab those. Right. You okay to stick with me for another coat? We just chat. I love it when I find a paint that only needs 2 coats. It really works with my laziness. Really, really works with my laziness. So at least you're seeing in real time as well how long this is taking. And you can see that this Klingon brush, like I've mentioned before, it sort of does the job of both brushes, of this Sleek and the Unipro that I use. So when I've got turned legs like this to do, this is generally my go-to, because it just hits everything. But please don't feel that you need to buy a cling-on, because you really don't. You don't need to spend that amount. When you're doing it full time though, like I am, then yeah, it's a good investment. But I don't get better coverage with it, definitely not. It's just, I like the weight of it. Some people hold it there. I tend to hold it right at the base of the handle. But I like the weight of it. But I don't get it for the extra coverage, because I don't see that at all. And I don't see how that could happen. But I'm sure there's some science behind it, because a lot of people say it. But have I done that bit already? This is beautiful. I'm actually really liking this colour. So like I say, if you're struggling to find this, oh, I'm not sure about this colour. I'm sure they have. I think she said she's got lots of stock. So, yeah, Caprioli. Oh, someone's probably laughing at me saying that wrong. I think I'll just spell always. Oh, I didn't do the drawers yet. Oh well. I would normally do the drawers, they're just here. So I do one coat on everything, second coat on everything. One thing also to be mindful of, these drawers are quite loose fitting, so I'm not concerned about it. But if they are a tight fit, then be very careful with painting on the insides of the drawer. Where the drawers slide into, because you'll find that you might create problems with the drawer fitting. And honestly, at the end of a project, when you've done everything and it looks beautiful, and then you try and slide a drawer in and it doesn't fit, honestly, that's when you start to lose it. Actually, I shouldn't assume that that's when you start to lose it. That's when I start to lose it. Right, Bailey? Can you see Bailey back there? Are you hot now? Yeah? Have a little lie down in the shade. Good girl. I think Harper's hiding inside. Maybe attached to the postie's leg or something. Is she Belle? Bailey, where's Harper? Do you know? Are you feeling the heat now? Yeah? I know. Am I going over areas? I don't think I am, because I'm not feeling any drag. Sorry, this is just, I know it's quite boring, just watching me do this all the way through, but honestly it's easier for me to do a video like this without having to edit too much and add music. And the videos that I like to watch are the ones that are not necessarily real time, so you watch it all, but I like the painter to be talking as they're doing it, so they're talking through it, because that's how I learn and I sort of remember it, I picture it. I've used next to no paint so far. Literally looks like the pot has barely been opened. Which is very good. So generally what I would find when I do a piece in, certainly with ash, like I said, this looks like pretty much identical to me. So what I find when I do a piece in this colour, when I advertise it, I'll get orders pretty much straight away for me to paint either pieces that I've got. Bailey, Bibi, please. Bailey, Bibi. Either pieces that I've got in this colour for customers, or to paint their own furniture in this colour. Because a lot of people don't have vision, and until they see something, they don't know what they want or what they like. So if you show them, then they know. So likewise, you could even show them videos, you know. So I tend to send customers the links to the paint suppliers that I use, so they can look at the colours, and then when they come back to me and say, oh, I like that colour, then I can, if I've already used it, I'll show them pieces that I've done in that colour. Or I can even point them in the direction of videos, you know, similar to this, showing the colour. And that really tends to help them visualise their piece in that and in their home. I hope the lighting's okay today. I kept moving it around because it's sunny, and sometimes it's good in the sun, but then it gets too bright and too hot. So I think I'm almost done on this first coat now, the second coat, sorry. And then I can flip it over and find the missed bits. Like I said, ordinarily I wouldn't do the back, but this is such a little piece. And with console tables, some people may have this so they can actually see the back. You know, they may have it sort of sat in the middle of a room or something, or by a dining area, rather than as a console table in the hallway. So sometimes making the back nice is a good idea too. And because this is the solid piece of wood on the back, if this was chipboard or something like that, obviously I wouldn't, and I wouldn't expect customers to have that on display. But as it's all a solid piece of wood, I might as well make it look nice all the way around. What do you guys think of this colour? It's probably difficult to see in this light. No, I can see a strip that I've missed twice there. That's the second coat, and there's literally a strip that doesn't have any on. How do I even do that? So I think this has probably been about 20 minutes maybe, has it? And I've got the two coats on. Which is great. So I'll just pull the drawers in, get those done. I know a lot of people spend time taping drawers around the edges. I don't. I got a pretty steady hand. And I just make it look good. Nice straight edge. Generally there's a lip when you just paint the lip. If it is dovetail edges like this, I just create the line, make it look smart. Go all the way around. If there's one thing I hate, honestly, it's taping. Oh, I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. Anything that creates more work for me, I really don't like. And if you're taping pieces, it really does slow down. I know people say, oh, it's not all my husband, particularly because he's a perfectionist. He says it's just a little thing extra that will make a big difference. But when you're flipping furniture on the daily, that has a big impact. And on you know, on your time. I don't think it's necessary. Not all the time anyway. So you see there's lots of dents, hopefully you can see it, but because the hardware, the same hardware is going back on, I'm not worried about that in the slightest. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Right, that's the first coat on those. I delivered some drawers the other day and I was devastated when I got there because I knew that I'd planned to either paint or line the drawers, because there was a bit of, they weren't particularly pretty inside, and it was just before Christmas and I was obviously rushing, and when I opened the drawers there, it hadn't been done, so I was devastated. So what I did was post, or actually I delivered 4 new rolls of contact paper, which is what I would have used, for her to choose herself what she wanted, and she could just keep the others. And she was happy with that. She's asked me to do another piece already, so that was good. But yeah, in that instance, that was bad of me. I wasn't impressed with myself then, that I'd rushed and not delivered such a good product. I mean, the drawers, the bedsides looked gorgeous, but yeah, not as gorgeous as I would have liked on the inside. Okay, I'm going to flip this over now, and then we'll get the finishing touches done there. Right, I've done the second coat, flipped it over and done the other coat on the rest of the body to fill in the missing pieces. Now I'm going to do the top. Now when I'm painting the top, whether I'm using chalk or mineral paint, obviously what you want to get the best, smoothest finish as possible. A lot of people say that you can't add water to mineral paint. I do. So for the first coat, I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I'm doing this in bright sunlight, as you can see. Do you know what, I'm going to start adding it straight away. So I'm just using this mister, and it will just give me that little bit extra work time and allow me to work it in. Also, because I'm going straight onto raw wood, it's just going to soak up and dry so almost instantly. So that little bit of extra dampness will help heaps. I'm sure if you look at other tutorials, they will say don't do it, so you know, I'm just showing you what I do. And I would normally be going all the way across. At the minute I'm just trying to get it on in this heat. I've got enough hands to do it. So certainly for the final coat, I'm going to be going all the way across, so that I'm going to get that one coat. If you weren't adding the water, you just wouldn't be able to do it. It just dries too fast. So don't be frightened to have a go at things. If you think it's going to give you a better finish, just do it. The difference with mineral paint and chalk paint, and the reason that, you know, it's not recommended or that people don't, is because when you're doing chalk paint, the water will reactivate it, so it will make it runny again. That's not what happens here. We're not reactivating it, we're just giving it a little bit extra life. Once it's dry, once mineral paint is dry, it's dry. You're not going to be reactivating it. You might find that you get little water spots, just brush them out and all will be good. Okay, don't sweat it, it's just paint. So this is bone dry there already, and as I go across to that side I can feel the texture, so I won't go over top of that anymore. When I do the next coat, I'm going to be going the full length, and then hopefully I'll have a nice even finish with very little in the way of brush strokes, because that's what this also does. Adding the water will reduce your brush strokes because it thins it out basically. But like I say, this is just what I do. If those that are technically minded know that there's a reason that you shouldn't do this, by all means tell me, but it works for me, so I will be doing it. This was my workaround when I was using Fusion, and I found the work time in this weather. And generally, to be honest, I wouldn't be doing this in the sun like this. I'm doing it just so you can see it better, because in the shade it's difficult to show you. Right, so this is dry. The top is probably going to need 3 coats because it's on raw wood. So, right, like I said, now I'm going to do full length. And it's a light brush. And this should dry really nicely. I'm sure there's others that have got tips for getting a really good finish on the top of a piece. Please share them. I'm always learning. I'd love to see more Aussies have YouTube channels that I can watch. Share the love, people. Share your knowledge, please. I'm sure some of you are looking at this saying, I can't believe she's doing that. Stupid woman, putting water with mineral paint. Well, it's water based. It actually extends it as well, so if you haven't got much paint left and you need it to finish a piece, just throw some water in. Works perfectly. I know that you can buy paint extenders, but honestly, water extends it just nicely. Thank you very much. A little blob there. It's drying so quickly because I'm in the sun, as you would expect, but the finish I'm getting is nice. So now, as it's drying, certainly with Dixie, Belle and Fusion, don't keep overworking it, because you're going to create drag. You'll create texture, you'll feel it, you know when you've done it, and you'll be right annoyed. So it's almost dry on the top, and then I'll go in with another coat, and then I'll put on top coat. So I always do that with the top of a piece like this. I will add extra to protect it, so I'll put a clear coat on top. But there's no, because we've gone from one end to the other, there's no brush strokes, there's no stop start marks. It's all just one fluid colour, which is really nice. So after I've done this and the top coat I'll use will probably be Carts and Millie satin top coat that I've mentioned before, and I just wipe it on with either a cloth or a sponge, usually a sponge. Then I just need to spray the draw pulls and we're good to go. Right, let's go again. So as I'm doing this, I can already feel that it's drying. That's how quick. And you'll know it, for those that are new to painting, when you feel the drag, you feel the resistance, that's because it's drying. And that's your marker to stop. Don't continue working it, because you will regret it. Trust me. I've done it when I haven't used Fusion for a while, and I've used other paints that have got better work time, and then I sort of forget myself and rework it. Straight away I feel it, and straight away I regret that I've done it. because you can't fix it. You literally have to sort of, not sand it entirely back, but give it a, you know, 400 grit or something to sand it off to get smooth again. And it's so disheartening. So what are your guys' thoughts on using water with mineral paint? Let me know your thoughts. Tell me that I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong. Always learning. There's a strip there that wasn't fully covered, so I'm going back in. And I can do that because I can see that it's already dried. If it hadn't, I would have created an issue. Do you know what, I'm going to do a 4th coat as well. I don't know that it necessarily needs it, but because it's gone onto raw wood, I'm going to, better to be safe than sorry. It's not going to do any harm. As it's already dried, I'm going straight in. This is definitely a paint that I will use again, even though, you know, I am supporting the Aussie brands. That doesn't mean I'm going to boycott all others. It's just that the Aussie brands are my go-tos. But if I need an ash replacement, sorry Fusion, I know I shouldn't say it that way, but ash is such a good paint with such good coverage, then this would be it. Feeling a bit of drag there, so I'm going to leave that. But I'll do a close-up afterwards when it's finished and show you what it looks like, and then you can tell me if I was wrong to do it this way. But I am always happy to learn from others. For instance, the driftwood effect that I just did, I did a video on the last one. Someone gave me the recommendation to, on the edges, to continue to go with the grain rather than going across, because it looks more realistic, which absolutely it does. And that was a really good tip. So I've gone and corrected that, and it looks so much better. So I'll probably do another video at some point showing that. So I'm very happy to receive feedback. Right, I'll let that dry. Then I'll come and do a close-up to show you it before I put the top coat on. This before I put the top coat on. Hopefully you can see it in this light. But it's really... let's take it into the shade and see if you can see it better there. Probably not, but it's really silky smooth and very little in terms of brush strokes. Okay, now I'm going to clean off the draw pulls, spray them, put the top coat on, and then we're good. Okay, time to spray these. So this is my go-to Duramax, the bright finish. And don't forget, so all I've done with these is just wash them with soapy water, let them dry. When you do spray them, if you're going to be using the original screws, don't forget to spray those too. Okay, so I'll just do one coat first, let it dry. Move them around, make sure you get the sides. It's a really good way to get these looking so fresh again. Okay, that won't take long, that dries really quickly, so I'll come back and do another coat shortly. Okay, I'm just going to do the top coat now, and I forgot to mention, because it's a dark colour, sometimes if you just go in with a top coat, you're going to get streaking, so I just like to mix a bit of paint in with it. So this is just some clear top coat with paint mixed in. it won't go to waste. I'll just tip it into the pot afterwards. It's not going to do it any harm. All it'll do is extend the paint. Really, it's not going to do any damage to it. So none of it will go to waste. So just dip it in and go from side to side. And this will just reduce the risk of streaking over dark colours. I do it a lot with most colours actually. Not helping myself there, can't dip it in properly. I've already put the drawers in and the drawer pulls back on. So this is the final stage. Once this is dried, I will stage it, take some photos, get it on the market. So you've pretty much seen it in real time how long this has taken, because I haven't sped anything up or cut anything out. So that just gives you a good indication of how quickly you can do a flip, really. I know it's difficult if you've got kids to create that time to do it. But if you can create that time, then you can get some good work done in a short period. When you're doing the edges, be careful not to scrape it along the top, because you don't want I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, so this side. So when you're doing the edges here, make sure that you don't scrape along the top, because you can see it then and it's just not a good look. So I'll just let that dry for a second. I'll put another coat on and then we're good. Thanks guys. So here's the final piece. I haven't taken the staging photos yet because the lighting isn't great at the moment, but here it is. I'll add some photos at the end when this lighting has changed. It's a really nice colour. I'm really pleased with it. I'd say it's exactly the same as Fusion Ash, which is also a lovely colour. I've just found out as well that Caprioli have got a sale on the Dixie Belle Silk at the moment. I'm not sure if it's on other products as well, but they've got 15% off all of their silk paint. So definitely go and have a look if this is something that you're after. Thanks guys.